Hello, everybody. This is my day 2 of the 90-day challenge, the YouTube video 90-day challenge. I will say today was a little bit more difficult, not necessarily to find time to do this video, but to find motivation. Definitely generally struggling with life today, but I'm here. I'm doing the video now. I decided last minute the topic of this video is something that I've been curious about, passionate about. I've been testing a lot, and I don't think a lot of people talk about openly. But honestly, I don't care, so I will talk about it openly, which is the use of breathwork combined with different substances. People may say plant medicines. Some people might even say drugs, but I don't think that's fair. Anyways, the three that I will be talking about today specifically are cannabis, mushrooms, and dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. And I will say right off the bat, these are my personal experiences. I think there's probably still a lot to be learned with these substances and breath work for myself. So it's really just what I've experienced so far. So beginning with cannabis, I have been a regular cannabis user for a very long time. I eventually found my way to a point in my life where I wasn't really enjoying it, so I backed off severely. By backed off, I mean I took a 8-month break from cannabis, and then decided to reintroduce it. And where it started making a lot of sense was during meditation and breath work. I find that cannabis works extremely well combined with meditation and breath work. And the way I usually approach it is very, very minimal amounts, usually one hit, deep into the lungs, and I hold it for a while. And then I go right into breathwork and meditation, and I don't know, it's like spaghetti and meatballs or bread and butter. They seem to go together very well. I get very intense, pleasant, blissful sensations. I will say the adverse effects of the cannabis, which is usually for me paranoia, it gives me a chance to work through a paranoid state of mind with cannabis, and I can use the meditation or breath work to work through that. So that's very good. On the bad side, I will say I track a lot of my breath work and meditation with this thing. So this takes my heart rate and my oxygen. I find that my heart rate is ridiculously high when I use cannabis with breath work. I find that I can even go up into the 200 beats per minute, which is a little bit alarming. So I try to use it sparingly, or I should say mindfully. So anytime I sit with cannabis and breath work, I try to make a little bit of a ritual of it. And I find that if I just use it in a way that's very mindfully and not with every breathwork session, it's usually the way to go. But I'm sure I have a lot more to learn there. I find that my deeper meditations and breathwork sessions happen when my heart rate's lower, and essentially, that's what I'm aiming for as far as health-wise, as heart health when I'm breathing. So, yeah, it is a little bit alarming seeing my heart rate up there. Now for mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms. I have experimented with this quite a bit, but not as much as I'd like to. So I think there's still a lot of discovery to be had here. I find that it combines really well. I can't go too deep into. I haven't found that it breathwork enhances my visuals with mushrooms at all. But like I said, I haven't gone too deep with mushrooms. I'm not a big, I don't usually take big doses with mushrooms. I like smaller doses. I wouldn't say microdoses. Usually I'm around a gram. or two, and the most I've had was 3 grams, and I did some great breath work, and I did have an amazing experience. I find that like anytime when I sit with mushrooms, it brings me closer to nature, and to do the breath work in the dirt and the grass and around the trees during that deep state with the psilocybin mushrooms, it was very unique, and I plan to do some more discovery there. Now with DMT, it's been a little hit and miss. And DMT comes in all different forms. Uh, right off the bat, there's 5-MeO DMT, which is usually consumed from the Sonoran desert toad. The venom is vaporized, or I've had it in the form of something called yopo, which is a seed that's ground up and it's administered blown up into your nose, and it's very, very, very intense. And then there's the NN-DMT, which is the usual crystallized DMT that you find people um, producing nowadays, but also the most popular one is ayahuasca. And now I've attempted breath work with all of these substances, and I've had mixed results. I will say the first time I ever sat with DMT was with the Sonoran Desert Toad vaporized, so the 5-MeO DMT. And it was pretty interesting because I wasn't that deep into breath work at the time. I was very aware of it. I had been doing some decently regular Wim Hof breathing here and there, doing my cold showers and stuff like that. And when I was coming down from the experience, which was a very intense experience, I found this desire to go back in. So I started doing some Wim Hof breaths, and I found myself right back in the experience. And I would come back, I'd do some breathing, I'd go right back into the experience, to the point where the people facilitating and watching over my experience were kind of, I could tell, I was sensing some impatience, because usually a session like that, the experience would only last 15 minutes, but I believe I kept it going for around 30 to 45 minutes, which is unprecedented. Other than that, I've tried it with some crystallized DMT that I smoked, and that, I mean, it tends to just bring me back into the experience. It's tough to keep in mind to do conscious breath work while you're kind of in another realm, so to speak. And my experience with ayahuasca has been difficult because ayahuasca, for me, I don't really get too many visuals, and my experience isn't ever really too intense, and I've had shamans that were aware of that and have given me a lot of ayahuasca at the time, and it doesn't seem to deepen the effect at all. I seem to be usually very grounded through the whole experience, which is not what I've seen from everybody sitting with ayahuasca. But what I found is that with ayahuasca, it's a purgative, so essentially it makes you want to puke through a lot of the experience, and it also makes you feel like you have to take a shit, honestly. So when you're kind of in a constant state of feeling ill, it's tough to take big breaths or really kind of focus on anything. So I think I have a little bit more work to do there. I did Tumo breathing. If you're familiar with it, it's the way I've experienced it. It's quick 5 breaths in and hold, and yeah, I didn't really seem to find anything there. It just kind of felt like I was going into that breathwork space while on ayahuasca. It didn't seem to combine like I've experienced with both cannabis and mushrooms. So it's something I'm very curious about. So I will be experimenting more with breathwork and different forms of DMT, especially ayahuasca. And I do plan to do some more experimentation with higher doses of mushrooms, but I want to make sure I have a sitter for that situation. And I think it's very important to, if you're doing anything new and adventurous in this way, it is important to have somebody watching out for you, or maybe even in this, same house or area that you can call on if you end up in either in a difficult experience or, something could happen. even to the point where you could, do deep enough breath work and not really conscious of your surroundings, bump your head off of something that could be very dangerous. So, yeah, anyways, those are my experiences. If anybody has any questions or any insight as far as this goes, I'd love to hear it. I haven't heard too many people talk about their experiences with psychedelics or any kind of substances like this combining with breath work. So, yeah, it is. I'm very, very curious about this, and I do plan to do some more experimentation, and I'm sure I will report on it later. So, anyways, thank you for tuning in. Have a good one, everybody.